Greetings, theists and non-theists. I am the Atheist Paladin. I am responding to Bojangles. I didn't quite catch it. He also alternately calls himself the Son of Thunder. And he's responding to my first video on veiled Bible prophecies, where I focus in on Ezekiel, and as well as the prophet Isaiah and Jeremiah. Now he specifically focused on the one I bring about Tyre. Well, in that first video, I did kind of muddle through it. I guess I did that poorly. So I need to restate my position here, because I thought in that first video I pretty much dealt with the points that he specifically brought up. So either he didn't really pay attention or read the links, because the links do. I did encourage people to read the links that I provided, and if he would have just done so, I probably wouldn't have gone through this already, but I guess I'll have to do it for his benefit. He also brings accusations that I was arrogant in my video, that just saying a position is easily refuted, or torn apart is somehow arrogant, and yet he can call my position weak and that I was speaking loud and ain't really saying nothing. How can he say that on one hand and not sound like a hypocrite on another? Really beats me. So let's get to the meat of the matter. What prophecy am I talking about when it comes to Ezekiel about the destruction of Tyre? Well, it is in chapter 26. If you read verses 3 through 14, you'll get the gist of the entire prophecy. Now, what he says is that in his video, that verses 3 and 4 sort of lend credence to his points. Well, his points were that it happened over a period of time, that it's not Nebuchadnezzar that causes this destruction, but over history, from the destruction from Alexander the Great and the Roman empires. It's alright. I have a roommate. Never mind that. And what was I? Yes. So the frequent nations, the subsequent nations, end up destroying Tyre. Well, that doesn't fly, because this prophecy, if you read it correctly, if you read it the entirety in context, it really speaks about Nebuchadnezzar doing this. Now, what he focuses on is, "Behold, I am against you, O Tyre. I will cause many nations to rise up and come against you, as the sea waves up to come up. And they shall destroy the walls of Tyre and break down their towers. And so I will scrape the dust from her, and I will make her like of a top of a rock." So basically, this is a prediction of almost complete and utter desolation. And it says many nations, and somehow he takes that many nations and then spreads it out over a period of several centuries. Well, if you continue on reading, it actually explains how this destruction comes about. And it says, "Behold, I will bring against Tyre from the north Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, the king of kings, with horses and chariots, and with horsemen, and with armies and many people. And he will slay with the sword your daughter villages and the fields." Well, in the previous verses, and it said, "Also her daughter villages and the fields will be slain by the sword." So it is basically repeating itself, but now it isn't inserting Nebuchadnezzar. Again, it says, further on you will read, "And he will break down your towers." In the previous verse, when it said many nations, it now is referring to Nebuchadnezzar. As you can see, this is an ongoing pattern when you read the whole thing in context. And so it ends all the way in verse 14, and it basically says that it will be completely destroyed, wiped out, and it shall never be rebuilt. It was rebuilt several times, even after its destruction, but that it was never destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. So this is a quite clear-cut failed fallacy. Furthermore, also in the first video, I also mentioned that Ezekiel does mention that this prophecy did fail. Let's continue on. Where did he say that? Okay. It says in Ezekiel, okay, in the verse, chapter 26, verse 1, it says, in the 11th year of the first day of the month. This is when the prophecy of Tyre came to him. This is referring to a specific time. And if you continue on and you read to what verse it was, chapter 29, it is 16 years later. It says it was made in the 27th year. So in chapter 26 is in the 11th year, and then chapter 29 is in the 27th year. This is a 16-year gap. Well, Nebuchadnezzar's siege happened over a 13-year period, so there's ample time to know whether Ezekiel knew his prophecy succeeded or not. And what does it say? Well, 29 verses 18 and 9. Says, Son of man, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, caused his army to labor strenuously against Tyre. Every head was made bald, and every shoulder rubbed raw. Yet neither nor did his army receive wages from Tyre for the labor which they have expended on it. So it's very clear that he's saying this campaign was unsuccessful. So you cannot take this inerrant position, because we have Ezekiel right here saying that he was wrong, he didn't succeed, so now he's going against Egypt and spoil that. Which I've mentioned that in the first video, and you did not touch on that. Because anybody who reads that one, well, he never despoiled Egypt either. Neither was it desolate for 40 years, nor did the Nile kill everything. So there is no way to maintain an errant position as you tried to, at least. So I hope I've explained why your position wasn't really successful against mine, why you couldn't really successfully rebuttal me. Call that arrogance, call that whatever you will. I think that basically sums up your argument, and I like to say, remember folks, rationality is the path to righteousness. Good night.